For this video, we'll be taking our presentation file that we just created and adding it to our IDWs. So what you'll need to do is open up your IDW. And the first thing that I want to point out before I go ahead and get started is over in my browser, I see a couple of my files that have little lightning bolts next to them. So my exploded view, my assembly file, and my blue part all have little lightning bolts next to them. And that lightning bolt basically represents that that file has been altered and it needs updating. All right, now it doesn't mean you need to go back and redo everything. Inventor makes it very easy for us and keeps track of all of our changes and notifies us of them through these lightning bolts. And so all we have to do is simply click one button and Inventor will go ahead and update all of these files for us. So if you come to the very top to our quick shortcuts in this top left-hand corner, you're going to notice eventually you'll come to an icon that has that little lightning bolt symbol, or very similar to the one that you see in your browser bar. If you hover over it, it says Update All Sheets. By clicking that and giving Inventor a minute, you'll notice that the lightning bolts eventually disappear, and now Inventor has completely updated all of those files for us. So if you go back in and you change any one of your IPT, your puzzle pieces, and you change the dimensions, that doesn't mean you need to go back in and redo your IDW for that piece. Inventor, again, keeps track of all those changes and then does that work for us. And all you would need to do is come find this symbol. Again, it's called Update All Sheets, and it also has a little lightning bolt on top of it to help you keep track of that a little bit easier. I'm going to hop back to my assembly file. And if you made any changes here to your puzzle pieces, that symbol would also pop up here in your bar. All right, so that symbol is going to pop up in quite a few different places in each of your file types if you do go ahead and make any changes to your parts. So now that we're completely current, again, we want to keep all of our IDWs for our Puzzle Cube project in one single file. So that's why I opened my original IDWs. I already have an exploded view, so I'm going to keep this one, but I'm going to add another one just to show you what we're going to be doing. Notice my title block is completely filled out. Some of us are forgetting this, so please make sure that you're going ahead and doing that. And then we're going to add our exploded view with these little circles with numbers in them. These are called balloons. All right, and then this up in the top left-hand corner is called your parts list. And your parts list keeps track of all of our parts, the name of them, how many they are, and then they're identified by an item number. And that item number is coordinated with the number that's inside of the balloon from our presentation file. All right, so this is the end goal of what we are reaching towards or working towards for our presentation IDW. All right, so again, how to add a new sheet. You're going to go to the New Sheet button. I'm in the Place Views tab. So we're going to click on New Sheet. Again, you're going to type in your first and last name. We are working on our Puzzle Cube project. I'll fill both of those in and then press OK. I had a few questions. Ms. Berza, why is my title block not filled in down at the bottom? All right, I only had to fill in these two items. The reason for that is we haven't placed any file yet. Once we place a file, that information that's right now blank at the bottom of our title block will automatically fill in. Inventor does the hard work for us, remember. So I'm going to come to Base, and what you'll need to do is click on the folder with the magnifying glass to find your presentation file. Now, some of you have gotten really comfortable with identifying the different symbols next to your parts, like these are your part files. It also tells you if you hover over it, Autodesk Inventor part. If you hover over this one, this is an assembly, and this is presentation. So another way to go out and do that is find the type column, and you can actually move that over, and it will also tell you the types of files here, but it tells you the same thing if you hover over the file here. So what we want to go ahead and do is select our presentation file. I'm going to go ahead and open that. And then I'm going to make my scale a little bit bigger so that it's easier to see. Now, the ultimate goal is to make your presentation, just like your parts, as big as humanly possible that is proportionate to fitting onto the title block. So you're going to notice, based on how I spread my pieces apart, if I go 1-to-1, it's too big, it's not going to fit on my title block. So I'm just going to drop it back down to a half-inch scale. So I'm going to go ahead and move my parts to this bottom corner, because remember, we need to leave space for our parts list. And our parts list typically will go into one of the corners of our title block. It doesn't matter which one, but it will go ahead and lock into one of the corners. So I'm going to put mine in the top left corner, so that's why I moved my presentation file to the bottom right corner. You also want to make sure that the style of your presentation is shaded, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and press that shaded button under Style. It's going to color all of my parts for me. And then these little black lines are showing the path of movement that that piece is taking to go back into its assembled position. All right, now that we're done with that, we're going to come to the Annotate tab. And in the Annotate tab is where we add our balloons and we create our parts list. So I'm going to add my balloons first. And all you need to do for the balloons is click on the piece once. It's going to automatically attach an arrow that points to that piece. And then I want to come out at about a 45-degree angle and click. And then I'm going to come out to the right or the left, it doesn't matter which, horizontally, and I'm going to click one more time, and then we'll right click and continue. All right, so that's going to place a balloon. Again, the yellow part's going to show up in my parts list as part number 3. I'm going to go ahead and add my orange piece, come out at a 45-degree angle, come out to the right at a horizontal position, right click and continue. Now I could come out at a 45-degree angle the other way and come out to the left and right click and continue. That's totally fine too. You just want to make sure that your balloons are not overlapping any other pieces when you go ahead and place them. All right. So now that I have all 5 of my balloons placed, we're going to go ahead and create our parts list. So I'm going to click once on parts list, and it's going to ask us to select a document. And that document is going to be the assembly file. And what that's doing is it's collecting all of the information about our puzzle pieces, or parts, I should say, from our assembly. And it's collecting all of that data, and it's going to throw it into a table for us. So again, Inventor's doing all the work. So once you have that assembly file selected, you're going to go ahead and press OK. And then you're going to get a preview of that rectangle with the footprint of what the parts list is going to go ahead and look like. So I'm going to pop that into my top left-hand corner and click once. You may go ahead and get a window that pops up. Just press OK. And now what we need to do is some modifying of our table. We're having this description column, which sometimes we will use, but for this project, we're not going to. So all you need to go ahead and do is double click on your parts list, and the parts list assembly window where you can adjust settings is going to go ahead and pop up. So what we're going to do next is select this column chooser button. It's the first button up at the top left corner. And this is going to allow us to either add or subtract from our current parts list. Now this project is very simple, so we're going to keep our parts list very simple. But these are all of the different categories that you would be able to identify the different properties of your project if you needed to do so. Right? So we're identifying description as something that we don't need. So we're going to select it on the right-hand side because these are the selected properties that are currently showing up in our parts list. So once we have that selected, we're going to press this remove button. and then we're going to press OK. And now it's deleted from our parts list preview. We're going to select Apply first and then OK. And my parts list is now updated with the 3 identifiers that we need, or the 3 properties that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and move that over. And now you're going to notice that my orange part, there's 1 of them, and there's only 1 balloon per part. So if I had, let's say, for example, 2 orange parts, which is not allowed, my quantity would be 2, but I would only keep a balloon on 1 of them. All right, so only 1 balloon per part would be needed. Even if there's 100 different parts that are the exact same, 1 balloon would be the identifier. All right, and we'll get more into that next semester when we start getting into some assignments with duplicate pieces. But that is how we go ahead and apply the balloons and make the parts list for our presentation. Once you're done here, you're going to take a screenshot and you're going to add it to your development doc in the last section of our screenshot table. Once you're done with that, please make sure that you go ahead and submit your development Google Doc to the development Dropbox on PowerSchool Learning.